much. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairi khalqihi wa khatami anbiya'ihi wa rusuli Sayyidina wa shafi'ana Abil Qasim Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabi. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli amma ba'd. In the name of God, the most kind, the most merciful, peace, mercy, and blessings of God be upon us all. Today is the 21st of Ramadan, coinciding with the martyrdom of Imam Ali, peace be upon him. When we examine his history, his biography, we realize that he is a tragic hero figure in history, who is greatly admired by people for his commitment to political, economic, and social justice, as well as his deep spirituality and ethics. However, we find that after the death of the Prophet, the Muslim community's disunity and infighting and tribal jealousy prevented them from benefiting from Imam Ali's deep knowledge and wisdom, especially after the death of the Holy Prophet. To get to know Imam Ali, we have to look at him from the lens of ethics, from the lens of justice, from the lens of spirituality, and not just the lens of politics or the 4.5 years of his caliphate, during which he was the caliph of the Muslim community, which is full of bloody civil wars and culminating with the assassination of the Imam in Ramadan of 661. There are some who have argued that Imam Ali was politically naive and he was not successful because he didn't have the political machinations or political talent and the aptitude to deal with Muawiyah and other Muslims who were opposing him during his caliphate. They argued that Imam Ali was, so to speak, obstinate and stubborn when it came to implementing the religious principles. He was uncompromising when applying the principles of justice. And this was the cause or the motivating factor that people opposed him during his caliphate. You will recall that during the reign of Uthman, there was rampant corruption and nepotism and favoritism, and many of the companions had become very wealthy through ill-gotten gains. And as soon as Imam Ali became the caliph, he was not prepared to postpone the implementation of justice, even though many of his companions, many of those who loved him, tried to encourage him to delay the implementation of justice. They argued with the Imam that now that you have power, you should try to solidify the foundation of your power base and do not dismiss the governors who are corrupt. Do not implement justice as of yet, but rather focus more on how you can magnify your power base, how you can solidify your power foundation. Power is the game. They were arguing with Imam Ali that in the dynamics of power, this is what counts. And Imam Ali was very reluctant to use the argument of power as a kind of a tactical maneuver, as a strategy to postpone justice. Imam Ali responded to all of these advices that he was getting, that he was not prepared to postpone justice as a tactical move in order to solidify his power base. And therefore you find Imam Ali arguing in Nahj al-Balagha that don't think that I don't have the political acumen. Don't think that I don't know how to lie and cheat and be deceptive and follow the machinations of political games. I know all of that, but there are certain religious, moral, ethical principles that restrain me. I mean, the whole purpose of Ramadan is taqwa. It is the taqwa that restrains him from using the political game, power game, and postpone the implementation of justice for his own self-promotion, for his own self-agenda. This is what he says in Nahj al-Balagha in one of his khutbah. He says, Wallahi ma Muawiyah biyadha minni. I swear by God that Muawiyah is not more cunning than me. If I want to be more cunning than him, I can be so. Wallahi ma Muawiyah adha minni وَلَكِنَّهُ بِقَدْرِ وَلَكِنَّهُ يَعْذِرُ وَيَفْجِرُ. He lies and he cheats and he sins. وَلَوْلَا كَرَاهِيَةُ الْغَدْرِ لَكُنْتُ مِنْ أَضْحَى النَّاسِ. However, if deception and lying and cheating was not something that was frowned upon and denounced, you would have found me to be the most cunning person of humanity. So Imam Ali says, I know all these tricks. They're trying to advise him that, listen, your first and foremost priority, Imam, should be your power. Power is the name of the game. We have come to power. Imam Ali is now the caliph of the Muslim community, and he was very reluctant to become the caliph. You know, when they passed him as the first caliph, Imam Ali protested that I'm the most deserving and the most qualified to be the caliph, but I'm going to remain silent as long as we can preserve the unity and the harmony of the Muslim community. I don't want to be the cause of creating fragmentation. When Abu Sufyan came to Imam Ali and said, listen, they've taken away your right. I can bring many soldiers and help you out and fight against the Caliph Abu Bakr and install you as the Caliph. Imam Ali's response was, I cannot be the source of disunity. I don't want the community to become fragmented and proliferated. Shortly after the death of the Prophet, the community is still very fragile. The community is still very much in its infancy stage. And the Imam said, I cannot allow this to happen. As long as there is violation of rights against me, I am prepared to absorb the shock, but the Muslim community should remain unified. It's a lesson for us. Those of us who are creating division between Sunni and Shia, Imam Ali is telling us very clearly that we are on the wrong if we create this kind of hostility, this kind of hatred, this kind of animosity between Sunni and Shia. Imam Ali is saying, you are on the wrong. If you say that you love Imam Ali and in his name, if you create cultures of hate with Sunni and Shia, Imam Ali is saying, you're on the wrong side of history. This is not how Imam Ali behaved, and this is not how Imam Ali would want us to behave as well. I gave you the example of Abu Sufyan. After the appointment of Umar, Imam Ali again protested that I'm being passed away, but I'm more deserving than any one of you. But I'm going to remain silent. When the council selected the Caliph Uthman to be the Caliph, and this shows the Imam Ali's absolute sense of justice. You know, during the council, after the death of Umar, Abdul Rahman ibn Auf offered the Khilafah to Imam Ali. He said, listen, I'm prepared to give you the Khilafah on the condition that you will follow the book of God. You will follow the Sunnah of the Prophet. And where these two things are silent, you will follow the Sunnah of Abu Bakr and Umar. And Imam Ali replied, Imam Ali said, yes, I will accept the Khilafah on these conditions. I will follow the book of God. I will follow the Sunnah of the Prophet. And when these two documents are silent, I'm going to follow my own personal ijtihad. I will exercise my own discretion. Imam Ali is saying categorically, I am not prepared to compromise my principles just to become the caliph. All that Imam Ali had to say, you know, he can just verbalize. He can say, well, Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, if this makes you happy, I'll say it, that I'm going to follow the Sunnah of the Shaykhin, the Sunnah of Umar and Abu Bakr and Umar. And this would have given him the Khilafah. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf repeats again that I'm prepared to give you this Khilafah and appoint you on the condition that you do this and this and this. Imam Ali again repeated the same. I will follow the book of God. I'll follow the Sunnah of the Prophet. When these two things are silent, I will follow my own discretion, my own independent judgment of ijtihad. So Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, when he didn't hear the response that he wanted to hear, and Imam Ali tells him, Abdul Rahman, I think you are playing a game with me. I think you have a particular plan in your mind. Right? So Imam Ali understood the games that are being played. Don't think that he was so shallow. You know, as some historians have said, that Imam Ali did not have the political, tactical maneuvering capability He was too naive. He was too shallow. He was too, emotional and whatnot. No, Imam Ali understood exactly the games that are being played, but he could not compromise his principles. He was not for sale. Like you see many of the politicians today, my goodness, you look at some of the American politicians and you feel like throwing up. You have no sense of decency, no sense of, human dignity, no sense of self-respect. You are prepared to sell everything for the sake of some power game. Imam Ali is teaching us a lesson that I understand your games. I am not prepared to compromise and not prepared to give up these high noble principles of Quranic values of justice and ethics and morality and spirituality for this game of ruling over you. Ruling over you is not the end game for Imam Ali. Power is not the end game. For Imam Ali, it is not to become the caliph and have power and, start to, benefit his community and all his, followers and start giving out land estate and money and treasury. That's not the end game. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf offers the same khilafah on these same conditions. And Caliph Uthman accepts the condition of the Quran, accepts the condition of the Sunnah of the Prophet, accepts the condition when these two are silent. He says, I'll follow the Sunnah of the Shaykhain, Abu Bakr and Umar. And then Abdul Rahman ibn Auf says, in that case, I now give you the khilaf. Imam Ali again protests that this was a game that you played against me, but I'm going to remain silent. I'm not going to be the instrument of creating division and hate in the Muslim community. As long as the violation of right is only against me, it does not affect the Muslim community, I'm prepared to remain silent. We have the Caliphate of Uthman. The first 6 years were, at least, he followed the path of, the prophetic model of conduct. The last 6 years, he was dominated by the Umayyad clan. He was dominated by his secretary, Marwan ibn Hakam. And it seemed that Uthman did not have full control of the Khilafah. It was taken away by others. And we see a lot of problems in terms of appointment of governors who were drunkards, appointments of people who were disqualified to be governors. There were governors who were leading prayers and they were drunk. There was a lot of favoritism. There was a lot of nepotism. There was a state being given out to companions. All this party bazi, all these games that we know, political machinations was going on. And there was almost a rebellion. There was a revolt. They always wanted to enter into the mansion or the house of the caliph and attack him. Imam Ali sent his own sons that I want to prevent this kind of a catastrophe from happening. If he is killed, if Uthman is killed, it is going to lead to a great devastation in the Muslim community. It becomes a precedent. It becomes something that can be repeated in history. We don't want to have bloodshed. He sends Hassan and Hussein to protect the Caliph Uthman, the same Caliph with whom Imam Ali disagreed. But when it comes to principles of justice and fairness and keeping the Muslim community united, Imam Ali is even prepared to send his own sons to give protection to the Caliph Uthman with whom he disagreed. He told him repeatedly. He said, Uthman, I have been trying to defend you that I fear for my own salvation. Why don't you correct yourself? Why don't you remove this Marwan ibn Hakam? I've been trying to defend you in the Muslim community that I fear for my own salvation. I fear for my own judgment on the day of judgment. Why don't you correct yourself? Why don't you do Islah? But Uthman was very much under the control of, like I said, the Umayyad clan. And we know what happens in history. There was a mob. There was a mob because the Uthman was not prepared to dismiss some of these governors and correct some of the behaviors. So there was an attack by the mob and the caliph was killed. Blood was shed. Imam Ali was extremely displeased. He was extremely annoyed at the events that were transpiring, evolving in Muslim history, because he could foresee with a vision that this can lead to great turmoil. It can lead to great destruction, a great devastation, and it happened. It truly happened exactly what he had envisioned. People came and told Imam Ali, now you have to be the caliph. The Imam who had protested that I want to be the caliph the first time, the second time, the third time, now the Imam says, I don't want to be the caliph anymore. You cannot tolerate my justice, says the Imam. I'm better for you as a wazir, as a minister, as advisor, I'm better for you. But you will not be able to tolerate anymore my justice after the passage of 25 years of all these machinations and political game playing and gimmicks. When I come and I will try to implement justice, you will not be able to tolerate me, says the Imam. I know you. And the people say, no, Imam, Imam Ali, you have to be the caliph now. We have no other choice. The community is in chaos. The caliph has been killed, assassinated. And the Imam reluctantly accepts the Khilafah, and he says, I will accept the Khilafah once you do this in public. The Imam says, yes, I know that I'm deserving, but you will accept this Khilafah only in public. He wants people to see that he has come to this post with the consensus, with the approval of the people, and now they should support him. Talha and Zubair were one of them who supported him openly in public, but of course they changed sides later on. The Imam went through a lot of pain and agony. What I'm trying to say is that if we are the followers of Ali ibn Abi Talib, we cannot be the instruments of creating hate in the Muslim community, the hate that is leading to bloodshed. You are looking at the news in many parts of the Muslim world, they're killing Shia in mosques. They're killing Shia in schools. It is because of our slandering of the companions of the Holy Prophet. It is because we are insulting the Ummul Mu'mineen Aisha and Hafsa, and we are doing all this kind of slandering, putting curses upon this and that person, and who are we to curse anybody else? Focus on yourselves. We see it from the pulpit. We see on the YouTubes. One of my students showed me some of the garbage that is put by some of these so-called scholars on YouTube, cursing the Khulafa al-Rashidun, cursing Ummul Mu'mineen. Imam Ali, believe me, would be very, very, very angered at this kind of immoral, unethical behavior. This kind of immoral cursing is leading to shedding of blood. Blood is on your hands. Those who create hate in the Muslim community, I think you can be confident on the day of judgment, you will have blood stained on your hand, that you created this culture of hate. We say this cursing, these bad things about the Sahaba, and then you will find one of the Wahhabi, scholar in Saudi Arabia, he will say, you know what, the Shias are all kafir, go and kill them. So you'll find some of the fanatics who are the Salafis and Wahhabis, they will say, listen, we have the fatwa now from the Sheikh in Saudi Arabia to go and kill the Shia because they are contaminating, they are insulting our Sahaba, they are doing this against our Ummul Mu'mineen, we have to kill them, right? And this happens. You don't think these people are to be blamed? Imam Ali would never do this. I'm telling you, I'm giving you examples. I'm giving you examples where Imam Ali was in a lot of agony and pain. He said, I'm not prepared to create any kind of division. As a matter of fact, when the caliphs used to come and ask Imam Ali for advice, he used to give them sound advice. He didn't say, let me deceive them, let me give them poor advice and put them in some kind of a trap. No, the Imam is a man of ethics. And that's why I'm saying, to understand Imam Ali, you have to understand him not from the lens of power, not from the lens of politics, from the lens of ethics, from the lens of justice and spirituality and morals. That's how you understand Imam Ali. And that's why he's so much adored, not just by the Shia, even the Sunni brothers and sisters adore him. Did you know? Non-Muslims adore him as well because of his moral standards, his ethical standards, the standards that we no longer espouse. We say with our tongue, but then we do complete opposite. Why do you curse the Sahaba? There is no reason at all. It is absolutely anti-Quranic. It is anti-prophetic and it's anti-Imam. The Imam would never do this. The Imam had all these issues going on. In one of his, he had many challenges. He knew he's going to have many challenges in the Khilafah. And one occasion, he got very angry with his people. He said, Ya ashbahu rijal wala rijal. O people who resemble men, but you are not true men. Hulumul atfal, you have no intelligence. Your intelligence is like of small children. You are infants. The Imam is angry. He's in pain. That listen, Muawiyah has followers who are so loyal to him, but he's misguiding them. I'm trying to guide you on the right path and you are giving me trouble. You are trying to challenge my authority. You are trying to challenge my instructions. The Imam says, لَوَدِدْتُ أَنِّي لَمْ أَرَكُمْ وَلَمْ أَعْرَفْكُمْ مَعْرِفَ. I wish I had not seen you. The Imam is that upset with them, with the Shia. He would be, I think, very upset with us too. The Imam is upset with the Shia that I wish I had not seen you. I wish I had not known you. Lam arif. I wish I had not known you. He's very upset because these were the Shias who were cursing as well in the Battle of Siffin. The Imam Ali stopped them. The Imam Ali stopped them in the Battle of Siffin. I don't like people who do sabbabin. He says, I don't like people who curse. The Imam says, Inni akrahu lakum an takunu sabbabin. I don't like people who curse. I don't like people who insult and slander and denigrate people. Even in the war front, the Imam Ali says, stop it. I don't like people who curse and slander. Right? This is the Imam. And the Imam is very upset with this group of people. He says, Wallahi, Imam Ali tells them, Jarrat nadama, you have given me nothing but humiliation. You have given me nothing but pain and grief and sorrow. Right? After 25 years, the community has changed. And this is very touching for me. The Imam says, he says to them, لَقَدْ مَلَاتُمْ قَلْبِي قَيْحًا. You have filled my heart with pus, with festering wound. I'm in pain. I'm in pain, says the Imam. And it continues further. The Imam says, I'm loaded with anger and rage. The bottom line, I want to conclude by saying, this was the Imam who tried to keep the community united and non-fragmented. Brothers and sisters, I would like to ask all of us that we should do our utmost to keep the Muslim community united, not to create division and all this kind of hostility and enmity and anger amongst us. People are being killed. In Afghanistan, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, there were bombardments in mosques and schools and so on. We should be very careful. Sunnis, our brothers and sisters, we need to do our utmost to make sure that we live up to the ideals of Imam Ali. And that's why I think the best way to understand Imam Ali is through the lens of, as I mentioned, not through the lens of politics and power, but the lens of justice, equity, fairness, and spirituality. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.